Sportsnot Matt Johnson here, joined today for our QB1 series by quarterback guru, air raid specialist, Crissy Froyd from Sportsnot, Sports Illustrated, and NBC Sports, talking about Kentucky breakthrough quarterback Will Levis. Crissy, what can you tell us about Levis and his road that got him to Kentucky, which all started at Penn State?
Yeah, so Penn State kind of established this thing that was called the Lion Rule. It's basically the Taysom Hill rule. We've seen guys like Tommy Stevens play it in the past. And so they're kind of a do-it-all quarterback. They come in and do different things. They're pretty much everywhere on the field. So you have a guy who's kind of a jack of all trades, can do a lot. But what we tend to see with guys like this is that they're underdeveloped as a passer. So I think he's had to put in a lot of work to kind of overhaul himself mechanically and to get where he needs to be throwing the ball.
And what did you see in those mechanics that changed and just the progression he made in that year where really he had a breakthrough season this past year?
Yeah, I thought that it was a good year. I mean, he completed about 66% of his passes. The touchdown to interception ratio was 24-13. I think that's kind of a reflection of his sometimes bad decision making. I thought his overall accuracy was okay. So I think he's made some strides. I think that he's gotten better for someone who came from a program that asked him to do something totally different. So I think there's definitely a next step to be taken. But I do think that he impressed me. He's almost kind of like Malik Willis-esque. There's some differences between these two guys. But I mean, as far as the physical attributes and the athleticism, that's kind of there. So we kind of put them in the same category.
Now you mentioned, so he made the jump of the Taysom Hill-like role at Penn State to being a full-time starter. And so he's shown that room for improvement. But moving forward, what are some of the things that you think he really needs to improve on for this team and himself to take the next step?
I think specifically more consistency in his lower body mechanics is something that we'd like to see. And then just game in and game out being the same guy throwing the ball. I was there whenever they played Mississippi State, and he had some pretty interesting decisions that he made. I didn't think the accuracy was there the way that it needed to be. So, I mean, there were some things to like. He can do a lot of stuff on the run. He's a big, powerful guy. But I think that he just needs to be the same as a passer every single day. And that's something that he's going to just have to continue to work through, and something that he's kind of been placed behind the eight ball just because of the role that he formerly played.
And you mentioned with some of the type of traits he has similar to Malik Willis. Obviously, Malik Willis wasn't a first-round pick this year, but there was some buzz early before he got knocked for being a small school. So with Levis being from a bigger school, do you think if he does put all of it together, this could be a guy who we see as a top 10 pick in the 2023 NFL draft?
Yeah, I think he's a top 10 quarterback. I think just based on team needs and how the draft ends up shaking out, it's going to have a lot to do with that. I do think that he can be a first rounder, but it's all going to hinge on how much can he continue to do as a passer and how much of a big step can he take this next season. Because I think that he flashed a lot last year, but I don't think he's shown the level of consistency that he needs to be considered a guy that's 1,000% going to go in the first round and then early in the first round next year. So I do view it as a possibility, but I do think that there's a lot of questions that he still has to answer.